Muskegon County Board of Commissioners, Courts and Public Safety Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Foster?
Here.
Commissioner Hovey Wright? Here. Chairman Hughes?
Excused.
Commissioner Laring?
Here.
Commissioner Mahoney?
Here.
Commissioner Nash?
Here.
Commissioner Scollin? Commissioner Wilkins?
Here.
Commissioner Snyder?
Here. Next item is approval of the minutes of the meeting of November 5, 2019.
So moved.
Comment or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion passes. Item number 4 is public comment on an agenda item. Does anyone in the public wish to comment on an agenda item? And as usual, state your name and address, please.
Yes, as usual, here I am. Ann Derwin, 1391 West Laketon Avenue. I'm thinking about this vehicle that the Sheriff's Department wants to get. I don't know a whole lot about this, so I just am asking for information. I kind of want to know what the purpose is of getting this vehicle. How old is it? What's the mileage on it? If it's approved, if the acquisition is approved to do this, I'm wondering who's going to pay for the insurance, where's it going to be stored, what kind of upkeep is going to be needed, why are they letting it go in the first place? Is it a really good vehicle? So I'm just a little bit concerned about that. I just don't know. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on to the items under consideration. The first is CPS 19/12-56 from the Prosecutor's Office to authorize the prosecutor to accept the Burn Justice Assistance Grant from the Michigan State Police in the amount of $15,000.
So moved. Support.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion passes. The next is CPS 19/12-57 from the Sheriff's Office to approve the Sheriff's Office to acquire a donated high mobility multi-purpose wheeled vehicle, HMMW, from the Kent County Sheriff's Office.
So moved.
Support.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Chair, I would have the same questions that Ann Derwin has in terms of what is it going to be used for, what are we talking about? I have no idea.
All right, thank you. Michael Poolman, County Sheriff. I can try and run through some of the questions there. On the requisition forms, they go with date of service, not year, so I don't know the year, and they have hour meters, not miles. I'd like to give a little back history if I could entertain you a little bit with that.
Give a picture.
Actually, I got a whole bunch of pictures for you. So, prior to 2003, Muskegon County, I guess first off, before I get started, I do want to just acknowledge some of the people that are here in attendance. Fire Chief from the City of Norton Shores, we have the Police Chief from the City of Muskegon Heights, Chris McIntyre from the Michigan State Police, Chief Viverette from the City of North Muskegon, John Gale from the City of Norton Shores, Tim Philbar, Chief of the Muskegon Township PD. Okay, miss anybody? Okay. The reason they're here is because this vehicle is not specifically designed for the Sheriff's Office. All right, this vehicle is going to be part of our emergency response team. Back in 2002, I should say, around 2002, Muskegon County experienced a large amount of barricaded gunman complaints, and at that time, now the Michigan State Police has a team. It's a fabulous team, probably one of the best in the state. They're a regional team, so it's a regional response. And the COPS board at that time, back in 2002, I believe it was, actually ended up being in 03, made a decision that we were going to put together a multi-jurisdictional team here in Muskegon County to help address these situations. Those types of calls that law enforcement itself can't handle, all right, where we need highly skilled individuals. In 2003, shortly after I was promoted to sergeant, I was charged with putting together this team. It took 3 years of planning, 3 years of training, selection, fitness tests, equipment, and we moved forward from there. Now, since the inception of this team, and since actually 2002, you can go to the PowerPoint presentation, or did that open up? Since 2002, there's always been an armored vehicle in Muskegon County. We've had different types, yeah, right there. And I just want to kind of show you these so you understand what we're talking about. Right there. Just tap down once, please. This first vehicle is the one we got in 2002. It's an armored personnel carrier. It's a command unit, is what it's called. This was donated. We received this through the 1033 program here in Muskegon County. In 2008, go ahead, please.
Has that been used?
Yeah, yes. The vehicles that you're going to see, just so you understand, from 2007 to 2015, when we were putting together this team, I was asked by the administration just to check some historical data about how many responses a team would be going to. We estimated about 7 a year is what we figured of these violent types of calls that we were responding to. We actually averaged 6, just over 6 a year. Of the 54 calls of service that we had during that time, these armored vehicles were deployed 9 times, but only utilized 7 times throughout that whole time. And I say that because this speaks to the administrative overview of how these vehicles are used. All right, there are administrators and supervisors out there that use these things to make traffic stops, to do whatever else. These are rescue vehicles, okay? Everything that we get from the 1033 program, from the DRMO, you could pretty much just go buy. The fact of the matter is we can't afford it, all right? If the County Board of Commissioners was willing to give, my agency $100,000, I'd be more happy to go buy a brand new one of these, all right? But the vehicle we're asking for today is a $200,000 replacement vehicle that we're getting for free. The second vehicle you see here, we got from the Wyoming Police Department in 2008. The purpose of having 2 of these vehicles was for the type of calls that we could potentially be dealing with. But secondly, if we have a part go out, we have a replacement, we have something on standby. The International Truck Tractor you see right there, the trailer, and there's a couple small vans behind there, all were received through the 1033 program that I'm talking about. Now, in 2015, one of the APCs, we turned over, 2013, the first one I showed you, we gave to the Lansing Police Department. They were in need of an armored vehicle. This was done because we were going to be receiving a Max Pro MRAP, because due to the President's executive order back in 2015, these tracked vehicles were no longer available, so everybody had to turn them in. Basically, the government took them back and they used them for range targets, all right, for aircraft and stuff like that. So we were put on a list. Go ahead, please, the next one. The next vehicle received was this. It's a Max Pro. It's called an MRAP. We had this vehicle from 2013 to late April, May of 2015. This vehicle suited us very well in our responses and the things that we did as a team. In 2015, in a political move, then Sheriff Rossler made a decision to take me off the team, disband the team, and he gave this vehicle, this is a $800,000 vehicle, $600,000 vehicle, and he gave this vehicle to the Kent County Sheriff's Department. They've been utilizing this vehicle for their team since that time. Where we're at today is the Kent County Sheriff's Department has now been approved for a brand new vehicle. All right, so they're purchasing a new one, but they're not giving this one up because it's so nice. So what they would like to do, they call us back because they have our vehicle and they know we're without, and they're offering us their Hummer that they have. Next picture, please. Oh, sorry. Keep going. No, it's fine. Just keep going. I'll go back to these. This is the vehicle right here that is in question, that from Kent County. It's in excellent condition. It's coming with all the light packages and all the equipment that's on it. The only reason that they're getting rid of it is because they're getting a brand new one, and they're just offering this back to us from there. These vehicles right here, we sit here and talk about them, and You guys have heard me talk before about the work that our law enforcement community does. Right? There's 5 agencies, of the 10 agencies in Muskegon County, locally, not counting the state police, 5 agencies that participate on this team here in Muskegon County. We have medics through the Northern Shores Fire Department also. When I worked 12 years as a SWAT team commander for this team, I will say it was one of the, I guess, proudest times of my life, because when we talk about things that you get to do, to be selected to take on a task like that, especially on a multi-jurisdictional team when you're dealing with different weapon systems, you're dealing with different policies, there really has to be a lot of effort placed into this and what's going on. This vehicle here will serve Muskegon County well. I brought it up at the earlier motion review because we are on a list for a Cougar 4x4. It is a smaller MRAP. All right, when they come in, we've been approved for it through the 1033 program. Having 2 vehicles, it's larger. Having 2 vehicles will support what we need here in Muskegon County. Once again, you know, there's no such thing as a free puppy. I understand that. All right, there is cost that's associated with these. You know, when we operated all these other vehicles, those costs that we used that were associated, that we had, were spread out amongst the teams that participate in here. We're here today to see about adding this to our insurance pool. I don't know that it would be any added, because currently, as far as we're 5 vehicles down than what we were when we had these other armored vehicles. All right, so we don't even have as many vehicles at this time from there. There's a lot of things going on right now in Michigan. In as much as 2 weeks' time, 8 police officers have been shot. 1 of them's been killed. Would you go back to those other photos? These other photos are just pictures of homes that we've been to on call. This is the type of things that our neighbors have in their basements. Am I saying there's anything wrong with it? No, there's not. All right? But when we're there on a warrant for a violent offender or for a call, we need this type of protection. This is mandatory. This isn't a decision about the sheriff's office. This is a decision for 16 townships, 6 cities, and 4 villages. This is something that services all of Muskegon County. I don't know, I guess if there's any other questions. I can't stress how important this is. I mean, we talk about the people we deal with. Like Chief Thomas can tell you about his officer that was shot back in July. The suspect, when they apprehended him, was still armed and was wearing body armor. Right? These vehicles are used at appropriate times. The team is used at appropriate times. And we need support. I and these team members need the support from everybody here to make these things happen. I guess that, unless there's any other questions.
How many times was the MRAP used in Muskegon County?
Of the 7 times that they went out, I have 1, 1 time in Muskegon County. It was utilized 3 during from 13 on, but 1 time in Muskegon County.
Okay. And you don't have an insurance cost if those cruisers are added back? You don't know what this is going to add to your budget for insurance?
Well, to be honest with you, Commissioner Larian, I'm not sure how the insurance pool works, okay? But when I talk about those cruisers being added back, I'm talking the International Truck Tractor, the trailer, 3 armored vehicles. We don't have any of that anymore. The raid vans that were there, they were all given away.
They were given away in 2015.
And we haven't added back to them.
So there's going to be an additional insurance cost for this. You're talking...
Well, whatever the difference is from when we had the additional 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you don't know what that cost is going to be?
No. Coming from...
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So could you just clarify a little bit more about what kinds of situations you would need a military vehicle for, like this?
Well, it's, you know, I guess we can call it what it is, because they do come from the government, from the military. It's an armored vehicle that we use, officer rescue, if we have even civilian rescues or anything like that. We have used these calls, like the image that you're looking at right there, there's, those boxes are full of ammo, and that's a .50 caliber gun that's sitting right there in that picture. The ones I look at right here, barricaded suspect with shots fired is when one went on, and it's obviously to get a team or an element up towards the house where they can get close enough to approach. Holton Duck Lake Road back in 2009, robbery happened. Those individuals, after the robbery, went to a home that was not there, barricaded themselves in with 4 victims inside the house. Took those people in custody. About 2012, an officer was shot and a subject was barricaded. Did a victim rescue. That was a limited response with just our armored vehicle. That was actually in a neighboring county to assist them because we had the armored vehicle and they did not. Assist to the Michigan State Police. This is 2014. 2 officers were pinned down. Once again, this was a limited response for just the armored vehicle, and at that time, the MRAP was used to assist them for those officers. And then a armed robbery suspect who was chased into a home, and the vehicle was deployed there, and the subject was taken into custody. So just a few of those. I mean, the use of these vehicles falls in line with, I guess, the use of the team, because there is an issue of excessive force just by the team showing up itself. All right, and we have to acknowledge that, and you have to be conscious of that as that goes. That's why when I sit here and talk, you know, all the 54 calls that we were called to, we didn't go to 7 of them. All right, you know, and then I had to meet with a chief of police or someone later and explain to them why we didn't come to it. You know, an individual who's claiming to be suicidal and he's inside his house with a gun, that's not a team call. We don't respond to those. That's a police call, patrol function. But those are the type of calls that we use from there when there's weapons used.
Police vehicles are not bulletproof?
No.
Yes.
Sheriff, is that, you said it's armored?
Yes, sir.
So it's, and the windows are?
Yes, sir. They don't go up and down.
You know, if I could just, I think that story about, the news story about 3 officers being wounded from someone who had barricaded himself in a house. If we're getting the vehicle for free, is that correct? There's no charge for the vehicle?
Correct.
You know, if this thing saves somebody's life, it's, why would we have it?
Commissioner?
Sheriff, is there any known expenditures for mechanical updates that we need to do it immediately, or is it ready to roll right now?
This is ready to roll right now. I can tell you since 2002, I went back and checked everything over as much as I could. The very first personnel carrier that we received back in 2002, I believe, if I remember, I actually have it at my desk, it's called a quill shaft. It was a $100 part that broke, a gear. The Armory in Montague put it in for us for free and took care of that. We just had to pay the $100. We did have some bad fuel cells on a unit, and Twin Cities Automotive in Whitehall cleaned them out for us for free, repainted them, and gave them back. So at this point, as far as maintenance goes, we spent $100 since 2002.
John, if I could make another comment.
Yes.
I remember the armored personnel carrier. In order to use that, you needed a driver for it. You also needed a trailer and a tractor to haul it someplace.
Not for the MRAP. For the armored personnel.
No, not for the MRAP,
Yeah.
the ones that were
That's
tracked.
that's why we got the truck tractor and the trailer for that purpose, because we could respond quicker They only ran about 35, 40 miles an hour, the tracked vehicles did. And so it helped with staging and getting it there as quick as we could.
But this thing can drive itself right to the...
Yes.
Is that Hummer? Yeah.
Yes.
Any other questions? Sheriff, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just want to thank...
Oh, I'm sorry.
I want to thank the sheriff for that presentation because we were impressed at the committee meeting, and I'm glad he brought it to us. I want to thank him for a fine job.
And as we move forward here, and with all due respect, as Chair Commissioner Snyder, if you would please agree to it, and I don't know if it normally happens at a committee votes, but for myself and all the officers from Muskegon County and the residents of Muskegon County, I really would appreciate a roll call vote on this so that people can hear those people that are not supporting our law enforcement. Thank you.
Commissioner Nash.
And I just wanted to say thanks to the sheriff too, because I think this is more than just about dollars and cents. It's about, like Commissioner Skolnick said, it's about saving lives. And having family and friends that are involved in law enforcement, I know how stressful this job can be. And when you have to go out there and actually do the work, these are not easy jobs. And I know that law enforcement is probably one of the most stressful jobs there is in the world. So things like this, especially being donated, it's great we have it, because even though we might have used it once in Muskegon County, if we didn't have it, how would the surrounding areas get it? So it's saving lives not only here but everywhere. So yeah, it's a no-brainer for me.
Commissioner?
Yes, just a comment. On principle, I have concerns about militarizing our police, but I think you made a pretty decent case for the need for it in terms of saving lives of our police and residents. So, with some difficulty, I support it. Yeah.
Can I comment again?
Shirley.
If need be. I'm absolutely not a fan of the idea or the effect of militarizing our law enforcement officers at all. If we had the dollars, I would much rather find a civilian model of a vehicle like this that we could utilize and protect. When we started this process back in 2003, we took great strides in doing everything that we can to work as a civilian law enforcement group, understanding our role and working for the people that we serve from there. I'll tell you, and I want to share with you, because I think one of the proudest times I remember when we were training, every year the team either goes to Grayling or Alpena for training. One year we were up in Grayling, and I'm thinking it had to be somewhere around 2008, 2009, and there were a group of soldiers getting ready to be deployed to Iraq. And as the theater of war has changed from fields to deserts to urban areas, and that's where they were going. And we met these guys at dinner, and they came to us and asked us to help them to do room searches and how to look and what tactics we used, because it wasn't something they were familiar with. I had no intent, and neither does any of the chiefs that are here today, to militarize our law enforcement. All right? Just as the Army is not going to civilianize their role in what we taught them. Okay? So I just want to share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the commission? I'm going to exercise the prerogative of the chair and ask for a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
7 yes, 1 no.
Thank you. The motion passes. Next is from the Sheriff's Office. It is CPS 19/12-58 to approve the contractual funding transfers in the Sheriff's Office resulting from the annual shift bidding.
So moved.
Support.
Questions or comments?
Can we get an explanation, please?
I'm sorry?
Explanation, please.
Sure.
Michael Pullman, County Sheriff. I needed an explanation because this is the first time we were ever asked to do this motion. Every October, we have a shift bid by seniority for staff members, and they can pick on a law enforcement side by seniority if I'm willing to work in a car or work court services. And this is basically what that is. Those individuals by seniority that pick to work inside the courts, they're different revenue sources between the courts and the law enforcement officers on the road. And that's just transferring people.
Our financial manager is standing behind you.
Try to clarify a little bit. The Director of Finance. The reason that this is being brought forward, and I'm not sure why it didn't get brought forward in prior years, is the board's policy is if you ever transfer or need to transfer people's funding from one department to another, it requires board approval for it to happen through the payroll process. So I'm not sure why it didn't occur that way in the past, but we're trying to make sure we're following the policy.
Thank you. Commissioner Larry?
So is this budget neutral on the sheriff's budget, or
I
is?
believe so. It's just moving people between sheriff departments.
Okay.
Anyone else? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes. Next is CPS 19/12-59 from the Sheriff's Office to approve the increase in funding from mediation and restorative services to $196,650.
So moved.
Support.
Questions or comments? Commissioner Larry? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yes, I mean, it's 72,000, 73,000 is fairly significant increase, and I just wondered what you could explain it.
It's through the exit program, they pay for bed space for those individuals that are participating in the program, and that's what this is for additional people to participate.
And we haven't had that in the past?
Well, we have, yeah. I mean, this is an increase to add more.
Do we have more people participating in exit?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Larry?
So the funding for this comes from where?
Yeah, it comes from the state. What's the details of the exit program?
DOC.
To the Department of Corrections, yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, let's go with a roll call on this, if you would, Lisa.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Foster?
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Larry?
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney?
Yes.
Commissioner Nash?
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick?
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you. The motion passes. Next item is CPS 19/12-60 from the Sheriff's Office to approve acceptance of the fiscal year 20 snowmobile law enforcement grant in the amount of $2,000 from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources and authorize the sheriff to sign the agreement.
So,
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. The motion passes. Is there any old business? Old business, any new business?
Just one. I'd like to personally thank the sheriff for staying above and beyond for the residents.
And answering all our questions.
Any new business? Other new business? Public comment? Anyone, public comment?
Under 11391 West Layton, and I'd like to comment on the video taping of your meetings. I think it's great. However, when we watch them on the computers, etc., we're not seeing you close up, and we can't always hear you. I'm wondering if the camera could maybe be repositioned a little bit. I know it was the November 12th meeting, it was really good, and then something moved, and then it wasn't so good. So I'm wondering if you could maybe deal with that, and I'm also wondering if the work sessions could be videotaped as well. We're interested in those as well. And you had a work session today on the board rules. Will those be made public to us before they're voted on? That's a question that I have. I think that's all I had. Let me see that. Oh, yes. And I would ask that you would speak into the microphones. We're instructed to speak into the microphones. I would ask that you would do that as well. So, and while I'm here, thank you for your presentation. It answered a lot of my questions. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Bob Gagnon, 2193 Gem Pine Lane here in Muskegon County, also Fire Chief of the City of Norton Shores. I just want to thank the Sheriff for bringing that forward to the group tonight, and also just to take a couple minutes or a couple seconds and explain to you from the fire service standpoint, as a chief and as department heads in the county for our respective departments, our job is to be proactive in terms of determining the equipment that we need to mitigate any type of incident. When you look at fire trucks and you look at the number and the types of equipment that we have on there, them pieces of equipment are not used on a daily, weekly, monthly, or even on an annual basis. But when they are needed, it's important that they're there. And I think what you guys did tonight was a big step forward in helping the Sheriff's Department. So as a chief in this county and as a resident of Muskegon County, I thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
If I might say, please leave these documents. You don't have to stand it up to me.
Further public comments? We are adjourned. Thank you.